In a chilling turn of events, Romania has reported a Russian drone crossing its borders, marking the second such incident for NATO in just a week. This single drone, while noted by Romania's defense ministry to be non-threatening and not traversing populated areas, serves as an unsettling reminder of Russia's probing tactics against NATO's defenses. Following this, an unsettling video surfaced online displaying Iskander missile launchers alarmingly close to the Polish border. These launchers, part of the Zapad 2025 military exercises with Belarus, could target major cities across Europe if unleashed. Historically, Russia has utilized such maneuvers without significant repercussions, but recent provocations have prompted NATO to reconsider its strategy. In a bold move, Poland invoked Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty, signaling a grave shift in the political landscape. Prime Minister Donald Tusk characterized the shooting down of hostile drones as not only a defense achievement but also a transformative moment for NATO. Such an invocation of Article 4 is rare. Only 7 times since 1949 has this step been taken, underscoring the intensity of current tensions. Inspired by this series of escalations, NATO launched Operation Eastern Sentry. This significant initiative aims to fortify the alliance's eastern defenses, with support quickly mobilized from France, Denmark, and Germany, who dispatched fighter jets to bolster the cause. This united front signals an unwavering resolve among NATO nations in the face of increasing aggression. As airwaves reverberate with the hum of military aircraft and a looming sense of urgency fills the atmosphere, are NATO countries prepared for the storm that might arise? The air is thick with tension, allies are on high alert, poised to retaliate if provoked again. Will these preventative measures be enough to deter the Kremlin's relentless hostility, or are they merely a delay in the inevitable clash? The stage is set for an unprecedented confrontation, and every second counts. In recent discussions, NATO moved to bolster its presence in Eastern Europe through a new initiative called Operation Eastern Sentry. This strategic response highlights the escalating threat posed by Russia's aggressive maneuvers. Various member nations, including France, Denmark, and Germany, wasted no time in deploying fighter jets to support this operation. Secretary-General Mark Rutte emphasized the gravity of the situation, stating, "The recent violations of NATO airspace are unprecedented. This reckless behavior has increasingly become a threat to our security." As if to underline this urgency, NATO has observed repeated drone incursions over member territories such as Romania, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Rutte declared that regardless of intent, such infringements are dangerous and unacceptable. Collective resolve emerged from the alliance, with a robust commitment to stand unified against such provocations. They have established air, land, and sea defense systems, meticulously crafted from contributions by allies across Europe and North America. General Grinkwich and other military leaders announced heightened readiness through the Eastern Sentry Initiative, which aims to further strengthen defenses along the eastern frontier. Yet, despite this show of unity and determination, experts in Ukraine voice a persistent worry. They fear that NATO may not be adequately prepared for a potential escalation in drone warfare, especially as many European countries lack the experience to counter such intense aerial assaults. Ukraine, having faced relentless drone swarms nearly every night, has become a master at defensive measures, adapting swiftly to the overwhelming threat posed by Russian airstrikes. In recent incidents, the scale has become shocking. On September 7, a staggering 800 Shahed drones were unleashed toward Ukraine, coupled with a dozen ballistic and cruise missiles, leading to devastating attacks across the country and tragic losses of civilian life. As the darkness envelopes the land, the screeching sound of drones fills the air like an ominous symphony. What happens when the swarm descends again on a NATO member? How prepared are they truly? The clock is ticking. In the heart of a brewing storm, Ukraine stands as a master of drone warfare, navigating relentless night skies filled with swarms of hostile drones. Once, these attacks numbered only a handful. Today, they have erupted into hundreds. Just days ago, on September 7, Russia unleashed its fury, launching over 800 Shahed-type drones alongside a barrage of missiles. The chilling aftermath bore witness to tragedy: 5 lives lost, including a mother and her infant, innocent victims caught in the chaos over Kiev. Buildings collapsed under the onslaught, fires roared, and the very air vibrated with the echoes of destruction in cities like Odessa and Zaporizhia. Yet, amid this devastation, Ukraine's resilience shines through. It has consistently managed to intercept and destroy most of these aerial threats with a remarkable success rate, transforming despair into a fierce defense. How does a nation so battered learn to fend off such formidable attacks? Through innovation and necessity. Utilizing advanced air defense systems supplied by neighboring allies alongside their own cutting-edge technologies, Ukraine has crafted a robust shield. Mobile fire teams, equipped with everything from heavy machine guns to advanced anti-aircraft systems, are always on standby, poised for action. Colonel Yuri Anat, a leader in the Ukrainian Air Force, highlights the country's experimental approach. You can't predict everything when the enemy strikes with new tactics. You have to evolve, innovate. These mobile teams, like nomads of warfare, travel swiftly across battlefields. Their effectiveness amplified by a unified command structure. Can other nations, with their vast budgets and resources, learn from Ukraine's innovative spirit? Or will they remain blind to the impending storm? As darkness descends each night, the buzzing of drones fills the sky, a haunting reminder of the reality Ukraine faces. With each attack, the stakes grow higher, urging a re-evaluation of how Europe prepares for conflict. Will they rise to the challenge, or risk being unprepared for the next aerial assault from the east? In the face of ceaseless threats, this evolving battlefield forces nations to ask themselves, are they truly ready for what lies ahead? Time is ticking away, and the stakes have never been higher. As tensions rise between Russia and NATO, Ukraine raises its voice, delivering an urgent call to action. The prospect of an all-out war is looming, and Ukraine stands on the brink, signaling that the time for hesitation has passed. In a stunning appeal, Ukraine implores NATO nations to awaken from their complacency. With the echoes of drone strikes and missile bombardments ringing through their cities, the lessons learned have come at a tremendous cost. Countless lives lost, innocent children sheltering in their homes, valiant soldiers standing bravely on the front lines. The battle-scarred landscape tells a grim story, buildings reduced to rubble, families torn apart, and a nation that has had to adapt swiftly to survive. Just as the world seemed to hold its breath, Russia's aggression intensified. On September 10, a wave of more than 400 drones, alongside missiles, was unleashed upon Ukraine. The skies darkened with chaos, Ukrainian air defenses scrambled to repel the assault. Some drones breached their targets, resulting in tragic casualties, including an innocent soul lost to this relentless conflict. To compound this peril, a dramatic twist unfolded as 19 of those drones veered off course and entered Polish airspace. For the first time, a NATO nation was compelled to respond militarily to a Russian incursion, leading to a historic moment as the Polish Air Force, with NATO support, intercepted the threat. The world watched, as fear and uncertainty surged through the alliance. Days later, another incident occurred, this time in Romania, where a solitary Russian drone crossed its borders. While no immediate danger was posed, it served as another alarming reminder of Russia's escalating provocations. Videos emerged of missile launchers positioned alarmingly close to NATO borders, raising the specter of potential devastation across Europe. Faced with this escalating wave of aggression, Poland invoked Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty. Prime Minister Donald Tusk boldly declared that this incident reshaped the political landscape, transforming the dynamics of security in the region. Within days, NATO launched Operation Eastern Sentry, a bold initiative to bolster defenses along the eastern flank. The response was swift, with nations like France and Germany rallying to contribute fighter jets to the cause. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte articulated the gravity of the situation. Russia's recklessness could no longer be dismissed. The airspace violations experienced were not isolated incidents but part of a troubling pattern. Yet, amidst this turning tide, military experts in Ukraine expressed deep concerns about the readiness of their European allies. As drone incursions become a daily reality for Ukraine, hundreds of drones curling through the night sky, the fear remains that many nations lack the preparedness to handle such relentless attacks. Colonel Urianat of the Ukrainian Air Force lays bare the stark truth: you cannot predict everything when the enemy employs new tactics. The necessity to defend against increasingly sophisticated aerial threats has transformed Ukraine's military operations into a crucible of innovation and resilience. Through trials by fire and enduring countless tragedies, Ukraine has emerged as a beacon of knowledge in drone warfare. Each swarm of drones that approaches is met with a robust defense, a blend of advanced systems and homegrown ingenuity. While other nations, fortified by wealth and resources, craft grand weapons for display, they are yet to face the raw reality of life under the constant threat of drone warfare. Ukraine's experience serves as a sobering reminder of the high stakes, underscoring the urgency for preparedness, and the bitter lessons that come from the harshest of battles. With each drone strike, the tension mounts. As the clock ticks, will the world grasp the lessons from Ukraine's struggle, and unite to face the rising tide of aggression before it's too late? As tension escalates in Eastern Europe, a critical warning echoes from the heart of Ukraine. Faced with growing threats from Russia, the urgency for NATO member countries to step up military readiness has never been more pronounced. Ukraine has offered to share its expertise in drone warfare, a lifeline to ground its allies in the harsh realities it faces daily. The sense of alarm is palpable. For over 3 years, Ukraine has endured relentless drone assaults and missile attacks. The night sky often ripples with the sound of flying machines, while explosions render neighborhoods unrecognizable. Families huddle in fear, as soldiers make ultimate sacrifices to safeguard their homeland. With civilians and military alike caught in the crossfire, Ukraine's suffering is its shared burden, a stark reminder of the capabilities of Russian forces and a call for vigilance among European neighbors. However, recent events have cast a shadow of doubt over the preparedness of NATO allies. Just days ago, 19 Russian drones breached Polish airspace, prompting a reactive scramble of jets. This incident exposed cracks in the coalition's collective defense strategy. Though Poland is ramping up its military capabilities, having invested heavily in modern tanks and artillery, like the K2 Black Panther and M1 Abrams, its response to such an incursion raises questions about overall readiness. How can nations with advanced military resources still falter against the threat of drone swarms? Poland is not alone. Many European nations have long focused on traditional military developments, diverting attention from adapting to the reality of modern warfare characterized by swarms of drones. While Poland's defense spending skyrockets, set to hit an unprecedented 4.7% of GDP, its peers seem slower to grasp the growing significance of aerial threats. The stark contrast in Ukraine's experience highlights gaps that could have dire consequences. The battlefield is changing. As drone swarms become a central tactic for Russia, Ukraine's military has developed a sophisticated web of air defenses, utilizing advanced systems and interceptor drones. The speed at which Ukrainian soldiers neutralize these threats showcases invaluable lessons learned through hardship. Their nightly confrontations with thousands of Russian drones brought an urgency to innovation. But can the rest of Europe keep pace? The stakes have never been higher. If NATO does not unify its strategy and embrace the realities of aerial warfare, how long before the consequences of inaction become unbearable? With the specter of all-out war looming, now is the time for Europe to awaken and act decisively. In a ticking clock of tension, the world watches as Russia's aggression escalates. With the alarming specter of a full-scale conflict looming over Europe, NATO faces an unprecedented urgency to act. Ukraine, battered yet resilient after enduring relentless attacks for 3 years, issues a desperate plea: it's time to enhance military readiness against the Kremlin. But can the alliance shift swiftly enough before disaster strikes? In Ukraine, the echoes of war resonate daily. The lives lost in bomb blasts, the stories etched into the hearts of families, are a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Innocent children seeking refuge, valiant soldiers on the front lines, the emotional toll weighs heavily. As missiles rain down and buildings crumble, Ukraine has endured, adapting its strategies in a rapidly evolving battlefield marked by drone warfare, a field of combat in which it has become a formidable expert. But what's truly shocking is how unprepared neighboring nations seem in the face of this escalating threat. Less than a month ago, an overwhelming wave of 400 Russian drones surged into Ukrainian skies, with some even breaching Polish airspace, a bold act that sent NATO scrambling to intercept the invasion of their territory with F-16 and F-35 fighters on high alert. Yet, despite deploying sophisticated jets, they managed to down only a handful of rudimentary drones. Isn't it alarming that advanced military technology fell short against low-cost, albeit vicious, drone swarms? This glaring inadequacy raises urgent questions among military strategists across Europe. Alexander Cooper, a seasoned expert in drone warfare, stresses a chilling reality: relying on million-dollar missiles against low-cost drones is an unsustainable model. The NATO fleet is overstretched and under-resourced, struggling to deploy enough aircraft capable of handling the drone deluge. Lives hang in the balance, and as Poland's General Wisław Kukula points out, protecting Polish citizens takes precedence. There's no price tag for safety. As the situation intensifies, European leaders, stung by recent provocations, begin to make radical reforms. Poland announces large-scale military training for all adult males, preparing a reserve force to bolster its defenses. But can these measures keep pace with the relentless innovation in combat technology? Spoiler: Ukraine's approach to drone warfare proves a case study. With an intricate air defense system in place, using a combination of advanced technologies and mobile fire units, it intercepts the majority of incoming threats night after night. Colonel Yuri Anat reveals a reality that could change the game: rapid adaptation, relentless experimentation, and a cohesive strategy are vital for survival. The big question looms: can Europe rise to the occasion and embrace similar tactics, or will they remain vulnerable? As each conflict unfolds, the truth becomes unmistakable: the fight against drone warfare transcends traditional rules of engagement. In the harrowing face of existential threats, Europe must recalibrate its military strategy now. Will the alliance heed Ukraine's call for collaboration and urgently share knowledge to combat the Kremlin? Time is running out, and the stakes could not be higher as the specter of war looms ever closer. Time is slipping away. With Russia's aggressive maneuvers escalating and the threat of a large-scale war with NATO looming ever closer, the urgency for NATO to act intensifies. Ukraine, battered by years of relentless attacks, issues a startling ultimatum, urging NATO nations to step up their defenses. Faced with the specter of further aggression, they even offer to share their expertise in drone warfare, a skill honed through survival amid chaos. Why is Ukraine so alarmed? The answer is stark: it has endured over 3 years of brutal military assaults. Each night, the skies are filled with the haunting sounds of drones and missiles, homes lie in ruins, and countless lives have been extinguished, from innocent children hiding from the deluge to valiant soldiers braving the front lines. After witnessing the sheer destructiveness of Russian capabilities, Ukraine fears that much of Europe is woefully unprepared. Russia, sensing weakness, is not waiting. A chilling incident unfolded on September 10, as over 400 drones and several missiles were launched into Ukraine. Ukrainian air defenses intercepted many, but the collateral damage was significant: 1 life lost, several harmed. A shocking breach of NATO airspace occurred when 19 drones veered into Poland, prompting a scramble of military jets to neutralize the threat. This marked a critical moment, NATO's first military engagement against Russian action on its territory. In a short span, Romania reported a similar incursion. Although lesser in scope, this incident inflamed tensions, highlighting Russia's relentless probing of NATO boundaries. The Kremlin quickly escalated matters by broadcasting images of missile launchers positioned ominously near Poland's border. These Iskander systems can strike at the heart of Europe, targeting capitals and key infrastructures in Poland, the Baltic states, and beyond. NATO's response has been anything but passive. Poland boldly invoked Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty, indicating a grave threat to its security. The downing of threats displays our readiness, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk proclaimed, signaling a critical shift in the alliance's stance. This rare activation underscores the escalating severity of the situation. Operation Eastern Sentry was soon launched, aiming to fortify NATO's eastern defenses. Fighter jets from allies like France and Denmark rushed to the cause. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte articulated the gravity of the situation, emphasizing the increasing frequency of airspace violations and the dangers posed by Russia's reckless actions. "We will defend every inch of Allied territory," he affirmed. Yet, despite this strengthened resolve, concern lingers in the air. Ukrainian military experts express doubts about NATO's preparations against the relentless drone attacks that have become Russia's calling card. Ukraine has fought through the chaos and now stands as a beacon of expertise in drone warfare, an insight birthed from necessity. How can allies truly prepare? Through its trials, Ukraine has mastered the art of neutralizing drone swarms, facing hundreds of them nightly. Just recently, on September 7, a record-breaking assault saw Russia unleash over 800 drones. The devastation was profound, innocent lives lost and countless structures damaged amidst the chaos. Yet, Ukraine defended itself valiantly, utilizing a sophisticated web of air defense systems and tactical innovations to fend off assaults. Colonel Yuri Anat, head of Ukraine's air defense communication, detailed how these efforts operate cohesively. "Every system works together, maximizing our capacity," he explained. Each drone attack has been a lesson learned, and for Ukraine, the cost of education has been steep, human lives lost in the pursuit of survival. Facing an adversary like Russia demands a relentless quest for efficiency and effectiveness. Ukrainian forces, equipped with advanced technologies and a commitment to adapt, have cultivated a defense prowess that many in the alliance now yearn to emulate. Colonel Anat even extended an olive branch, inviting NATO partners to receive training in Ukraine or Poland, imparting crucial lessons learned in the battlefield. This knowledge could revolutionize how NATO responds to drone incursions, he emphasized. The ability to conduct counterstrikes is within reach if only allies are willing to embrace the opportunity to learn from the lessons of war. But as Ukraine stands ready to share its hard-earned expertise, one must wonder, will the allies heed this call before it's too late? The clock is ticking, and lives hang in the balance. Time is slipping away. As aggression from the east surges, the threat of an extensive conflict with NATO looms ever larger. Ukraine, fortified by its experiences, has issued an urgent appeal to NATO countries, imploring them to enhance their military capabilities. Not just passive observers, the Ukrainians are even willing to share their hard-won expertise in drone warfare. But what is driving this dramatic call to action? Ukraine has endured relentless military onslaught for more than 3 years, bearing the brunt of drone strikes and missile bombardments. The stark reality is etched deeply into the lives of its people. Innocent civilians and courageous soldiers alike have felt the direct impact of a war that has irrevocably transformed their daily existence. Buildings that once stood firm lie in ruins, and lives are lost each day in a grueling battle against a faceless enemy. The urgency is palpable. Russia has shown a pattern of escalation, and just recently, it unleashed a barrage of over 400 drones and missiles against Ukraine. As chaos erupted, some drones veered towards Poland, marking a shocking first for NATO military intervention in its airspace. This unsettling development catalyzed a rapid response from NATO nations, with Poland reaching out for solidarity under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty. What happens next? It's a chilling question. The alliance rapidly unveiled Operation Eastern Sentry, galvanizing nations like France and Germany to send fighter jets to strengthen defenses against a perceived threat. Yet, amidst these defensive measures, commanders in Ukraine express concern. Many in Europe still underestimate the gravity of drone warfare. Ukraine's battle-hardened experience is invaluable. Night after night, the skies are filled with swarming drones. The numbers grow, and while more than 800 drones were launched in a single strike last week, Ukrainian defenses adapt and evolve. They utilize advanced systems and battalions equipped with mobile fire units, turning the tide in their favor despite the overwhelming odds. But why does Ukraine excel in this domain? It's plain, necessity breeds innovation. Each drone strike from Russia is met with calculated responses from Ukraine, which has spent countless hours and lives learning to counter these threats. They've developed an extensive drone ecosystem, devising nearly 200 types of unmanned aerial vehicles and employing advanced tactics to strike deep into enemy territory. As NATO seeks to mirror this operational speed and flexibility, the stakes grow higher. With Russian forces advancing, can NATO harness the lessons from Ukraine's innovative spirit before it's too late? The battle ahead promises not just a clash of arms, but a race against time, understanding, and tactics. The outcome could reshape the very nature of modern warfare. What if Europe fails to prepare? What if these lessons remain unheeded as clouds of war gather perilously close? Each passing day builds the tension, shaping the course of history as we wait to see who will emerge victorious in this evolving conflict. Will the echoes of history repeat themselves, or can lessons learned prevent a darker fate? The urgent call for action rings louder than ever in the face of escalating tensions. As the threat of a significant confrontation with NATO looms, Ukraine is raising its voice, urging member nations to bolster their defenses, especially concerning drone warfare. With years of first-hand experience battling relentless Russian assaults, Ukraine is ready to share its insights, providing crucial training to allied forces. Imagine standing on a battlefield where the sound of drone engines fills the air, drones becoming the new soldiers of modern combat. Ukraine has learned, often the hard way, that without mastery over these airborne adversaries, survival against the Kremlin's forces is nearly impossible. The narrative of warfare is changing, with Europe needing to adapt swiftly to this new reality. In recent weeks, Ukraine has faced relentless drone strikes and missile attacks, including a harrowing day when over 800 drones rained down on its cities. The casualties, including innocent civilians, underscore the urgency of an enhanced air defense system across Europe. Countries like Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states may be next on Russia's radar, making it critical for them to fortify their defense. Imagine the chill. Kyiv has begun discussions with allies, including Denmark, Norway, and Germany, to share vital knowledge gained through years of survival under constant aerial threat. Ignorance could lead to disastrous consequences if these nations delay in understanding or accepting Ukraine's offer of support. The stakes couldn't be higher. As the world watches these developments unfold, there's a growing consensus: Europe's air defenses must evolve. Coordination among member states has never been more vital. Countries must prioritize collaboration, learning from Ukraine's experience before it's too late to act. The situation is precarious, filled with tension and uncertainty. What will happen if Russia escalates its drone warfare beyond current levels? Will Europe be prepared to respond effectively to protect its territories? The time for superficial responses has long passed. The need for substantive, strategic adaptations is now non-negotiable. This is not just a call to arms, it's a stark reminder of the reality of modern warfare. Will Europe heed this urgent warning, or will it find itself unprepared in the face of an unexpected onslaught? The answers remain to be seen, but one thing is clear: the clock is ticking. As the clock ticks down, tensions in Eastern Europe reach a boiling point. With Russia's aggression surging, the dread of an all-out conflict with NATO looms larger than ever. Ukraine has sounded alarm bells for the alliance, issuing a stark warning: action is imperative, and it's now or never. The stakes are high, and Ukraine is asking NATO members to step up and even offering to share its expertise in drone warfare, knowing full well the horrors that await if the Kremlin is not confronted. The urgency of Ukraine's stance is rooted in visceral experience. Over 3 years of relentless bombardment have left profound scars. On any given night, the sky erupts with the fiery trails of drones and missiles, while the cries of innocents, children huddling in fear, soldiers standing bravely against the storm, fill the air. A once vibrant nation has witnessed its homes and infrastructure crumble, forcing its people to adapt rapidly to the ever-shifting dynamics of warfare. Witnessing the monstrous capabilities of the Russian military, Ukraine fears that broader Europe isn't prepared for the brutality it has faced. Meanwhile, Russia seems poised to strike without mercy, no longer waiting for its enemies to fortify their defenses. The tension escalated dramatically on September 10, when over 400 drones, accompanied by a barrage of missiles, surged towards Ukraine. Many were intercepted, but the bloodshed continued, claiming lives and injuring others. What sent shockwaves through NATO was the trajectory of 19 drones that veered off course, crossing into Polish airspace. This was a surprising turn of events that compelled the Polish Air Force, with the steadfast support of NATO allies, to intercept the threat. For the first time, an action had been taken against Russian forces encroaching upon NATO territories, sending ripples of concern through global leadership. With threats growing more brazen, how will NATO respond? The echo of political leaders condemning Russia's maneuvers is strong, but will words suffice? The world watches, waiting with bated breath as Ukraine continues to weather these harrowing storms, developing intricate strategies and defenses against an ever-expanding Russian menagerie of drones. As the situation spirals further, could the lessons learned by Ukraine offer vital insights to its allies? Amidst the anguish and destruction, the story unfolds, an urgent battle not just for territory, but for the very essence of freedom against an oppressive force. As the night skies darken with the weight of approaching drones, each day could bring the unthinkable. Can NATO unite to thwart this impending disaster, or will the echoes of war be heard throughout the continent? Prepare yourself, this isn't merely a tale of tension, it's a looming reality where the line between peace and chaos narrows. As the clock ticks, will the alliance rise or falter? The fate of nations hangs precariously in the balance. The urgent call for action rings louder than ever in the face of escalating tensions. As the threat of a significant confrontation with NATO looms, Ukraine is raising its voice, urging member nations to bolster their defenses, especially concerning drone warfare. With years of first-hand experience battling relentless Russian assaults, Ukraine is ready to share its insights, providing crucial training to allied forces. Imagine standing on a battlefield where the sound of drone engines fills the air, drones becoming the new soldiers of modern combat. Ukraine has learned, often the hard way, that without mastery over these airborne adversaries, survival against the Kremlin's forces is nearly impossible. The narrative of warfare is changing, with Europe needing to adapt swiftly to this new reality. In recent weeks, Ukraine has faced relentless drone strikes and missile attacks, including a harrowing day when over 800 drones rained down on its cities. The casualties, including innocent civilians, underscore the urgency of an enhanced air defense system across Europe. Countries like Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states may be next on Russia's radar, making it critical for them to fortify their defense. Imagine the chilling sound of drones swarming overhead, a reminder of the threats they pose. As countries strategize their defenses, the urgency is palpable, each moment counts. Will Europe act swiftly and intelligently to fortify its air defenses? In light of recent provocations, now is the time for decisive action. Ukraine has successfully contained drone assaults through innovation and resilience. Or falter in the face of escalating threats. The combination of Ukraine's experience and collaborative efforts could shape the future of defense in exciting, albeit frightening, ways. Stay tuned as we explore more about these developments and the strategic maneuvers unfolding in the region. As the clock winds down, tensions in Eastern Europe reach a boiling point. With Russia's aggression surging, the fear of an all-out war with NATO looms larger than ever. Ukraine has issued an urgent call to action, warning that time is running out. The stakes couldn't be higher. Ukraine implores NATO countries to step up, even offering training in drone warfare, knowing the harrowing consequences if the Kremlin is not countered. The urgency comes from a painful reality. For over 3 years, Ukraine has endured relentless bombardments that have left deep scars. Every night, the sky is ablaze with the fiery trails of drones and missiles, echoing the cries of innocents, children seeking refuge and soldiers standing resolute against the chaos. A once thriving nation has seen its homes and infrastructure crumble, forcing its people to adapt quickly to the ever-changing warfare landscape. Witnessing the monstrous capabilities of the Russian military, Ukraine fears that Europe may not be ready for the brutality it has faced. Meanwhile, Russia appears poised to strike without mercy, no longer waiting for its adversaries to strengthen their defenses. The situation escalated on September 10, when Russia launched over 400 drones, backed by a barrage of missiles toward Ukraine. While many were intercepted, the death toll continued to rise. However, what sent shockwaves through NATO was when 19 drones strayed into Polish airspace. This unprecedented move compelled Poland's air force, supported by NATO allies, to scramble jets and take decisive action against this aerial threat. For the first time, military action was taken against Russian forces impinging on NATO territory, sending ripples of concern through global leadership. With threats becoming increasingly brazen, how will NATO respond? The voices of world leaders condemning Russia's maneuvers resound, yet will mere words suffice? As the world holds its breath, Ukraine perseveres through the turmoil, crafting intricate strategies to defend against an ever-growing barrage of Russian drones. In this critical juncture, could the lessons learned by Ukraine prove invaluable to its allies? Amidst the anguish and loss, a fierce battle for freedom unfolds, not just for territory, but for the very essence of liberty against an oppressive force. As the darkened skies are filled with the ominous weight of approaching drones, each day carries the threat of the unimaginable. Can NATO unite to prevent this catastrophe, or will the echoes of war reverberate throughout Europe? Prepare yourself, this narrative is not merely a tale of escalating tensions. It's a stark reality where the line between peace and chaos narrows. With the clock ticking, will the alliance rise to the occasion or falter? The fate of nations hangs by a thread, teetering on the edge of an impending storm.